This is now video 10 in module 1. This is actually part 3 now of preparation for installation. I want to talk about backing up your data. Before you do a clean install or an upgrade install, you really should back up your data. Now, in the case of a clean install, you'd want to back it up just so you have it to put on your new system. And if you're doing an update, it's more or less just self-defense. In case something goes wrong, then you have it. I'm going to talk about both Windows 7 and Windows 8. In Windows 7, you have several options for how to back that up. For one thing, you can just go to C, Users, and then Username, and back up your data. Now, it's the same in Windows 10, so I'll just show it to you here. I'm going to go to C, Users, and then whatever my username is, in this case, Roger. And I would, now this has all my stuff in it, right? Documents, downloads, OneDrive, and so on. So I would simply right-click this guy, and I would copy it, and maybe paste it to an external drive or to my OneDrive account, so that I have that information ready to go. Another option I have would be to use the Backup and Restore tool, which was in the control panel in Windows 7, and interestingly enough, it still exists in Windows 10. If I go to Settings, Update and Security, Backup, you see I still have Backup and Restore Windows 7, and it brings up the control panel, and I can set up my backup and do a backup of my Windows 7. Windows 7 also had something called Windows Easy Transfer. Now, you will not find it in your Windows 10 machine anywhere, but it was a way to save both your documents and settings. Now, Microsoft says you can't use Windows Easy Transfer to update to Windows 10. However, it turns out that you still can. And down here at the very bottom of the notes, I have in Addendum 2 an article that I took from this source here that talked about exactly how to do that in case you wanted to use Windows Easy Transfer to back up your information. The next option you have is to do a Windows image disk, and again, if I'm in the backup here, Backup and Restore Windows 7, you see I have the option to create a system image, and that makes a perfect image of 7, so that now if I have a problem, I know I can restore my image back to, or my computer back to the image that I had. So those are the backup options in Windows 7. Now, as far as Windows 8, they are very, very similar. Again, I can manually back up my files from C Users Username. I can back up the files using File History, and that is slightly different. In this case, if I click Backup, I have this thing called File History, and with more options I can set up what I want to back up, where I want to back it up, and so forth. So I can back all these things up, and then I have that data ready to go. Option C, I can log on to Windows with a Microsoft Online account and turn on syncing. Now we'll talk about signing into Microsoft Online accounts later on when we talk about accounts in another week. But I can turn on syncing and then keep my file and settings backed up automatically to Microsoft. This will back up files and settings, but not applications. Those will still be lost. And again, I can make a Windows image disk, and there is no place to make it in Windows 10. But in Windows 8, that still exists in the control panel, and you can make it there. I shouldn't say there's no way to do it in Windows 10, because as you saw, I can still do it using the legacy Windows 7 backup and restore tools that are in the control panel. But in Windows 8, it is still around, and you can get it in Windows 8 as well. So those are my options for backing up my information. Now, in the next video, in video 11, we'll talk about some of these other items that we need to have in place before we begin to install Windows.